our next speaker, first speaker for the plenary session, His Excellency Michael A.N.N. Okoe-esque, the High Commissioner of Ghana, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives to India. Please let us welcome to the podium His Excellency the High Commissioner to give the address. His Excellency the Ambassador of Ghana has given the message of the President of Ghana, which I am reading out the message of the President of the Ghana to Mr. Harpreet Singh Brar, the Chairman of the Bar Council. I, on my behalf and on the behalf of my country, greet Mr. Harpreet Singh Brar, Honorable Chairman and all the members of the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana on the occasion of the International Conference in the wake of 550th birth anniversary of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. I am sure we will all augur well in the light of the path and universal brotherhood, humanity and peace as laid in the preaching of Guru Nanak Ji. I would like to thank Mr. Harpreet Sandhu, Advocate, Punjab and Haryana High Court, for coordinating the visit and for his dedicated efforts for promoting the mutual relations between legal fraternity of Ghana and India. I wish the members of the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana all the best for organizing this meaningful international conference which is today. We thank the President of Ghana for this message. Now I request His Excellency Michael A.N.N. Okoe-esque, the High Commissioner of Ghana, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives to India to kindly come on the podium and address.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address this very august gathering on this auspicious occasion of the Bar Council of India for the international conference being held in the wake of the 550th anniversary of Shri Nanak Dev Ji, and we are very excited to be part of his extensive philosophy. Let me start by saying a special greetings to the representative of the Supreme Court of India, Justice Surya Kant of the Supreme Court. Also a special greeting to the Chairman of the Bar, Mr. Harpreet Brar, and to all the dignitaries on the dais. I would also want to say a very good day to all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present, the members of the bar and of the legal fraternity, excellencies, dignitaries, all protocols observed. This is truly an international conference because we can see here today representatives of Asia, mainly India. We can see representatives from Europe. I see some people from UK and so on, especially Justice Chima. I also see members from the bar and representatives from the Americas. I see some from New York, I see some from California, others from Canada and so on. And of course, by being here, we have representation from Africa. And I would want to say that when you want to have a truly international conference, you have to have representation from Africa, which is the second largest continent, and therefore we play a very important role. Africa is excited to be here, and by that I mean Ghana. Ghana has a lot of similarities with India. I am very happy today to be here, mainly in India because I am the Ambassador or High Commissioner for Ghana. That means that I'm usually among friends in the diplomatic circle. But I want to acknowledge that today, being a lawyer myself, trained in the UK and a member of the distinguished Lincoln's Inn, with great alumni like the Prime Minister or former Prime Minister of the UK, Tony Blair, I am very happy not just to be here, but since you are all also members of the legal fraternity and many lawyers, I am happy to be here with family. I must say that Ghana is a country where the rule of law is held in high esteem. we want to let India understand, and by that the whole world, that Ghana is a country that is doing very great things and strides in the areas of trade and investment. And it will surprise you to know that Ghana and India, because of our heritage links with the UK and that of the Commonwealth, we have the same legal system all the way up to the Supreme Court. In fact, this is epitomized by the written book by a son of Punjab called Harpreet Sandhu, where he's written a book called The Ghana-India Legal System, that has been signed by great Indians such as the Minister for Law and Justice, the Attorney General of India, and of course, the Chief Justice of Ghana. Today is a special day because we are here not to talk just about law, but to talk about peace, but to talk about social justice, to talk about equity, and to talk about our environment. All I want to say, especially after listening to my brother from Canada, who is the former Federal Minister for Health, when he said, we must not just say it, but we must live it. I have a special message, especially for the young ones among us here, who have had the opportunity of listening to so many eminent personalities, such as the current Chief Justice of India. The world is a beautiful place. The world is a place of equality, of gender, equality of race, and equality as human beings. So let us remember to treat each other equally. I was very enthused when I heard that Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that one thing that he believes in is the equality of women, and to treat women in a way that shows respect because everybody came out of a woman. By the same extension, I would want to leave you with the following things to think of as you're here, that one of the biggest things that we must all learn to do is to forget our differences in religion, to forget our differences in race, to forget our differences on all spheres of life, and to do one thing, which is to love each other in peace, harmony, and all that will bring blessings upon your life. Nanak Nam Chadi Kala, which in effect says, God bless you all in good heights. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much. Thank you.
I now request the recipient of our Global Achievement Award for the promotion of Punjabi literature and poetry, Dr. Surjit Patar, Padma Shri, to take his award from Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant, Judge, Supreme Court of India. Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker is Dr. Mark Joergensmeyer from the University of California. I now invite Dr. Mark from the University of California to give his keynote address. Once again, distinguished guests, kindly join me in welcoming Dr. Mark from the University of California to the podium.
Thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana for this event and the organizers. And I'd like to give my respects to the distinguished guests, and especially to all those brilliant law students in the back of the room who haven't been recognized yet, but I want to recognize you. You look terrific. You're going to be stars. I congratulate you. I'm a professor of political science and comparative religion, and I helped to develop the field of global studies, and I wanted to argue today that Guru Nanak is a global guru. Now, in the case you're thinking, wait a second, Guru Nanak is the son of the Punjab. You don't get much more Punjabi than Guru Nanak. That's true. and you should be proud to be a part of that heritage. But I want to make the argument in three ways. The first is that Guru Nanak didn't just stay in the Punjab. If you're to accept the Janam Sakhis, these are the stories of the life of Guru Nanak, he traveled a lot. He traveled not only throughout South Asia, but he also went to Afghanistan, he went to Baghdad, he went to Mecca, where it was said that he was lying asleep with his feet pointed towards the Kaaba, when a Muslim came and woke him up and they said, Sir, you have your feet pointed towards God. And Guru Nanak was said to have said, well, please tell me where God is not, and I'll point my feet there. The point is that God is everywhere. You not in one particular place. But so Guru Nanak was a traveler, just like Sikhs who live everywhere. There are Sikhs in Trinidad and Fiji, in the UK, in Canada, and my own state of California. And they think of Guru Nanak fondly as the person who started the tradition of Sikhs traveling, of being worldly people, of encompassing not just the Punjab, but the world. Which brings me to the second way in which Guru Nanak was global. This is because in all of these places he encountered people who were different than him. So he was a pioneer in what we think of today as multiculturalism or interfaith relationships, because when he interacted with people, not only when he traveled, but also in the Punjab, talking with Muslim peers and Hindu Brahmins and not yogis, he would encounter them and they would talk and he would criticize them and he would criticize their hypocrisy, but he would also listen to them. And he would do what we do best as religious people, and that is not just respect other people's faith, but try to learn from them and to understand their points of view. And it's remarkable that the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book of the Sikh tradition, is filled with different religious traditions. Hindu, Muslim. Kabir, was he a Hindu or a Muslim? Well, he was both in a sense, but criticized them all. And so Guru Nanak taught us in a global sense that we, wherever we are, encountering other religious traditions in what is increasingly a multicultural world. We live side by side with other people, and the point is not just to tolerate them, but to learn from them and allow them to learn from us. And the third way in which Guru Nanak was global was through his teachings. Now, it's said that Guru Nanak's teachings were basically about three things: about sharing, about giving what you have to others. It was about living righteously, living an honest and decent life. And it was about searching for truth, meditating and looking for truth within. Now, if you think about it, these three things are the bedrock of any kind of responsible, dignified, wonderful life. They're a message for all of us, to give what we have to other people. In the Australian fires, there was just these dramatic pictures of Sikhs coming and setting up a langar, free kitchen for the firefighters, so they would have something to eat. And wherever you go to a Gurdwara, wherever you are in the world, you can get free food, because it is a part of the Sikh tradition to share. And it's a part of tradition of all of us as decent human beings to share and to live righteously, to live honestly and with decency, and to search for truth within, to look beyond. One of the enduring images of Guru Nanak in the calendar art is with a kind of half-closed eyelids, as if he was on some transcendent space. But that is a message for all of us, to look within, to not just be in the present. So in these very strong and dramatic ways, it seems to me, Guru Nanak speaks to everyone. In that sense, I think I can claim Guru Nanak to be my guru. I'm a Christian and I accept the words of Jesus Christ, but I also listen to the words of the Prophet Muhammad and to the teachings of the Buddha and to Moses and to Guru Nanak, who spoke to all of us. You know, he was a teacher, and those who follow us are Sikhs, and those who identify them Sikhs are proud to be a part of that tradition, and they should be. But the message of Guru Nanak is one for everyone. This last year when I was in Chandigarh, I came to visit an old friend of mine, Professor Jagtar Singh Grewal. Professor Grewal was for a while Vice Chancellor of Guru Nanak University, a very distinguished scholar. He's 93 years old, but he's a scholar. And so I asked him what I always ask other professors that I meet, what are you working on these days? Because I know they'll be working on something. And he said, oh yes, he brightened, he said, I'm working on some articles, but I'm also taking my book on Guru Nanak and history, and I'm going to make a revision, revise it. I said, well, have you discovered new things or new insights? He said, well, a bit of both. And I said, well, give me an example. He said, for one thing, what I've discovered is that when Guru Nanak talks about Muslims, and when he talks about Hindus, he's talking about Muslim theologians, peers. And we're talking about Hindu Brahmins. He's not talking about everybody. I said, well, then who are the ordinary people that come and listen to him? What are they if they're not Hindus or Muslims? And Professor Grewal kind of thought for a minute, and he just looked at me and said, well, they're just people. They're just people. And I said, what a profound thing. In this age of kind of identity politics, where your religious affiliation gives you a certain political privilege or makes you the butt of a certain kind of political oppression, isn't it wonderful to hear Guru Nanak's voice kind of like a laser shoot through this and say, there are no Hindus, there are no Muslims, there are no Christians, there are no Buddhists, there are no Jews, there are no Sikhs. They're essentially just people. And so all of us as people can accept this extraordinary global guru for the global world in which we live. And so I am honored as a Christian to be a follower of Guru Nanak, and so should you. I thank you for your patience and good luck for the conference.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant, Judge Supreme Court of India, Your Excellencies, judges, invited guests, I am now honored to introduce our next speaker, Professor Doris Jacobs from the University of Waterloo. Please let us welcome to the podium Professor Doris Jacobs from the University of Waterloo to give the plenary address.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here. Respected dignitaries and guests, I don't think I've quite been in a gathering that is this august, and so I'm feeling honored and I'm feeling humbled by being here. I really want to thank Mr. Brar, who worked tirelessly to make this event happen, and also the very, very many volunteers, the young people who have been so kind to all of us. Thank you very, very much. And perhaps most importantly, what we already heard from Dr. Jurgensmeyer, the students, the young people, you are our hope, and I do hope that you will take these words to heart and in your practice in the time to come. So we're here for the 550th anniversary of Guru Nanak, a remarkable thinker, a mystic, a poet, and a founder of the Sikh tradition. I would say that not a lot of attention has been given to the system of ethics put in place by that remarkable individual who then became the Guru. Questions, I think, that are of ultimate importance to this audience of leaders, administrators, jurors, justices. For laws and regulations and practices do not emerge from a vacuum. Their substances are born from a very particular worldview and politics and settings. Now, having said that, I am not going to even pretend that I know the laws of India, which so many of you represent. I come to you as a scholar of religion and history, and as one such scholar, I'm fiercely interested in how religions develop, how they change, why they change. Some of those factors do, of course, include the laws of the land. We also know that Punjab, now divided, has had a push and pull between law and custom. One simply needs to look to the irregularities in male and female birth rates to come to an understanding of that variance that stands out mockingly, it seems at times. And of course, I'm very interested in gender issues. That's not the focus of my talk today. I am, however, fascinated by how in so many religious traditions here, Guru Nanak, the founders are represented in some cases, recreated, dependent on the time and place and needs of the societies in which devotees find themselves. There's nothing new about this. The Guru Nanak that we know was a reflection of the needs of his community during his time. But let's look at the sources of Guru Nanak. If we look to the Ad Granth, Sri Guru Granth Sahib, it is a collection of sublime hymns and poetry. We really do not know a lot about the history of the time. We do not know what the wives of the Guru's name. They didn't make it into the pages of scripture. It is hymns and poetry, love and devotion to the divine. The Janam Sakhi literature, the birth stories, these are the narratives and discourses focusing on Guru Nanak's life and mission. And I would say that the Janam Sakhis tell us less about who Guru Nanak was, but they tell us more about how the early followers understood him to be. And I'll ask you to remember that when we look at contemporary portrayals of Guru Nanak. What do we know about Guru Nanak? There was a form of initiation into the fellowship or the Sangat. Devotees would drink the water in which the Guru had dipped his toe. If you put this into the context of a society in which notions of purity and pollution are highly divisive, drinking the water that touched the foot of the Guru spoke of a rejection of certain kinds of pollutions. Initiates were invited into a new kind of relationship and a new kind of society that was not governed by ordinary forms of ritual transgression, but instead a society that stressed egalitarian ideals. In terms of the succession, before Guru Nanak's death, he appointed a new leader, and it was Lena, who was a devotee of the goddess Durga, who caught his attention. And I would suggest that what's important here is that the new leader was not a member of Guru Nanak's family. In fact, Guru Nanak clearly rejected the notion of lineage succession in traditional form. And I think here we see an aspect of the ethical system by the Guru that has an impact on how we understand the law today. The law isn't necessarily about custom. It's not about the privilege of lineage. It's about who has proven herself or himself the most worthy. And here, Guru Nanak broke with tradition. And I would say to you, the lawgivers, the lawmakers of India, of Punjab, how do your laws and customs reflect Guru Nanak's rejection of privilege, of worthiness, of the way things have always been done, even if those ways are not just or righteous? But let's keep on going. How did the Janam Sakhis portray Guru Nanak? He was the enlightened one, the mystic. Guru Nanak, as you know, early in the morning, went to the river for a bath, and after his bath, he didn't resurface. When he did resurface 3 days later, he was in a trance and said nothing, and then he finally said, there is no Hindu and there is no Muslim. And generally this is understood as the beginning of his guruship. There's no Hindu, there's no Muslim. How positively startling Guru Nanak's words must have sounded then, and how positively startling Guru Nanak's words ring today. When we look to the development of this remarkable country, this India that we love, the history of this state of Punjab, what would it look like if the words of Guru Nanak were truly understood and truly followed? And in some cases, many perhaps, they still are. let me tell you a little story. In 1996, I was in India for the first time with my family. My children were aged 3 and 5. My husband, I was collecting data for my doctorate. I went to Amritsar for the first time, and I was at Guru Nanak Dev University, and a group of students surrounded us and wanted to take us to the Golden Temple, to the Darbar Sahib. And as we wandered around, we were all awestruck. Even my children, who talked constantly, were silent for about 2 minutes. And then I looked around at this group of students and I said, wait a minute, you're not Sikh. Krishna, are you Hindu? And Muhammad, you're Muslim. Why are you taking us to the Golden Temple? And they said, no, 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 ma'am. Guru Nanak is our Guru. The Darbar Sahib is our shrine. And I pondered this lesson in my heart personally, and I grew to love Guru Nanak. There is no Hindu, there is no Muslim. And I wonder how in this time of intense nationalism that is growing all over the world and apparent self-interest, the words of Guru Nanak, if taken seriously, would truly change the course of history. And then there's Guru Nanak, the miracle maker. Guru Nanak one day on pilgrimage found himself in the ancient city of Saidpur, now in Pakistan, and there Malik Bago, a corrupt noble, was having a feast. Guru Nanak, however, called instead on the carpenter Bailalo, who lived in the shabbiest, poorest hut. And there he was offered a simple roti. Now, Malik Bago, highly incensed, summoned Guru Nanak to his house to explain his behavior, and Guru Nanak took that dried roti and crushed it, and milk oozed out of it. And then he took a piece of bread from Malik Bago's feast, and when that was crushed, it oozed blood. That is because his roti has been earned by the labor of his hard work, while yours by sucking the blood of the laborers. And my question to you is this story about a miracle or about righteous living and justice? Truthful living and honest living, a kind and a humble heart. That was the message of Guru Nanak. A sharing of wealth, a heart for those in need. And I ask you again, for you lawmakers, you young people who are going to be the lawmakers, how do the laws of India and Punjab stand the test of time for the gauntlet thrown down by Guru Nanak on who is important, who is deemed worthy, whose rights are met, and whose rights are trampled? Guru Nanak's focus was on being true to one's belief system, whether that was Hindu or Muslim, and it was with love and devotion to Akal Purakh being at the center of one's religiosity. I'm going to, the last minute, leave this time period and move on to contemporary manifestations. I have many, and I'm just going to choose 2. And I go back to the question I asked you earlier, how do we create and recreate Guru Nanak in our time? We've already heard about Guru Nanak, the environmentalist. Recent news headlines, 550 trees will be planted per location to celebrate the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak. And we know the beautiful hymn, air is the Guru, water is the Father, earth is the greatest mother of us all. These profound verses from the Guru Granth are not just examples of sublime poetry, they are instigators, as we heard today from my colleague, for real change, real transformation for our deeply wounded earth. And I ask again, how do the laws and regulations of this great country reflect this vision? If the earth and the skies and the rivers and the oceans could talk, could call out to us, what would they say? And then there's Guru Nanak the activist. In this day of activism and the challenging of dominant social systems, Guru Nanak is increasingly being portrayed as an activist. Guru Nanak taught that a spiritual person cannot remain silent in the face of injustice. We know the story of Emperor Babur invading India, and we know what Guru Nanak said to him. And those words are so eloquent in the depiction of the pain, the sorrow of a people, and Guru Nanak's call for compassion. And they are being recast increasingly in the 21st century into a deeply spiritual and engaged critique of society that is taking the form of action and activism in a world that is numbed by inaction and the inability to stand up against justice. But let me end with what I consider the jewel of Guru Nanak's vision. Truth is high, but higher still is truthful living. May we all aspire to truthful living, taking care of this precious earth, one tree planting at a time, to taking one stance against injustice and unrighteousness at a time, to become bridge builders in a world where chasms divide, especially among those of us professing religion and devotion. This, my friends, in all its multiplicity, is the way, the message, and the legacy of Guru Nanak. It isn't enough to speak of the message, it must be lived. And for it to be lived, it must be reflected in the laws and lawgivers of this society. May it be so. Thank you for your attention. Sat Sri Akal. Truth is immortal.
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant, Judge Supreme Court of India, Your Excellencies, judges, invited guests. I am now honored to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Harinam Singh Khalsa, an attorney and the moderator of Sikh Dharma and the master of Kundalini Yoga from New York. Please let us welcome on the podium Shri Harinam Singh Khalsa from New York to give the address.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. First, thank you so much, especially Mr. Brar. Too many people to thank, so we don't have that much time. So if I don't mention you, I do really thank you. Wow, I am so happy to be here. You can't actually imagine the joy that I'm feeling at this second. I'm not going to give you a lecture. I'm going to just talk to you as a brother, as a sister. We really, in my whole life, I've given thousands of speeches, but never in my whole life have I ever had the opportunity to kind of speak to this narrow group that so represents my life. Like yourselves, or many of yourselves, I have been a lawyer for 40 years. I have been an Amritdhari Sikh for 40 years. And my whole life has been nothing but actually this seamless interaction of living the life that I was asked to live by Guru Nanak through Guru Gobind Singh as a lawyer. And so you can't imagine the joy I have to spend this day with you, my brothers and sisters in faith, and my brothers and sisters as lawyers. I don't have that much time to share, so just a couple of things in my life that I would like to share with you. As I said, 40 years ago, I see all these law students. 45 years ago, I was in law school. I did not want to be in law school. Like many of you, and honestly, at that age, I really didn't even know what it was to be a lawyer. And my motives for being a lawyer were basically money, status, and my parents gave me two choices of professions, doctor or lawyer, and I didn't like seeing blood, so I landed up being a lawyer. And that's how I got to be a lawyer. And I'm honest with you, my 3 years of law school, I hated every second of it. I didn't even want to be there. But I was smart enough to get through without studying. And then I graduated, but right before I graduated, I also, at that time in my life, in my early 20s, was very interested in personal and spiritual development. And I had the incredible honor and privilege to meet one of your sons of the Punjab, Siddhi Singh Sahib Bhai Sahib Harbhajan KALSI Yogi Ji, one of the really great Sikh pioneers of the 20th century, and I had the honor of eventually spending 30 years with him. And I graduated law school, and I didn't want to be there, and I decided, you know, I really want to do something spiritual with my life, so I'm going to be a healer, because lawyers to me at that time were not the good people. Healers were the good people. And lawyers I saw as being part of the problem, not part of the solution. So I had this idea I was going to be an Ayurvedic doctor. So I go to my spiritual teacher, and I said, sir, I've made a very big decision, and I want your blessings. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I don't want to be a lawyer, I want to be a healer. And he said to me, and this changed my life. I didn't know this, I was a young man. He said, my son, you're going to be a lawyer whether you like it or not. What? I don't want to be a lawyer. That's because you're arrogant. This is a spiritual teacher talking. You're arrogant. Shut up and do your job. Oof. I don't like that job. He says, yeah, one of two choices. You can continue on the spiritual path with me as a lawyer, or you can get out and never come back again. Woof. But I really believed in that man, so much so that I had already, I really didn't have escape hatch. I so much wanted to be like him that I actually gave my head to the Guru. I took Amrit, I changed my name legally, I changed my appearance, so I had a lot invested in this. So because my teacher insisted, I became a lawyer just because I trusted him. But I found out things why he asked me to be a lawyer, but it took a long time. First of all, I know that he wanted me to appear like this in a court of law. And eventually I became a very well-known appellate lawyer. And this is how I looked before the Supreme Court. And so when I appear this way, I am actually, I'm looking in the back of the room and there's this big portrait of Guru Nanak. So when as a lawyer, I'm in a courtroom, I represent this mission. I represent the mission of Guru Nanak through Guru Gobind Singh. And that's a big responsibility. Everybody's looking at me all the time. And I always have to do it the right way. The other thing is that my teacher taught that we have a responsibility if we are conscious people. And unfortunately right now, there's a real lack of consciousness on the planet. That if we are conscious in our personal lives, then what we want to do, and thank you very much as law students that you're doing this, is that our responsibility is to actually it sounds sinister, but it's not. We are infiltrating all the centers of influence and power and authority in the world, especially as lawyers. And we're doing this, we're infiltrating it because these centers of influence need people of consciousness right now more than ever. And so as people of God, people of consciousness, we touch everybody. We touch the people we work with, we touch our clients, and we touch the society in ways that other people don't have the opportunity to do. So that's the other reason he wanted me to be a lawyer. And the third reason, and it took years for me to see this, the third reason he wanted me to be a lawyer, because at this point I didn't really understand the teachings of the Guru as I do now. But as everybody on the panel has talked to at great length, and there's no need for me to repeat it, we all know the message of Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak, part of our spiritual path, without a doubt, is social activism, and to fight for justice and truth and equality. That is part of our path. And I can't think of any profession in the world that gives a person the opportunity to fight for these principles of truth, justice, and equality like we can as lawyers. And we really need to do it because, as some people on the panel have talked to, I'm a guest in your country, and I want to be a good guest, so I won't comment about anything in your country, because that's not, I think, a polite thing to do. But I can talk about my own country, which I love very much, and it's an absolute embarrassment about what's happening in my country. An absolute embarrassment. We have a president in my country who was actually elected by half the people, who basically is using, actually abusive and violent language against any group that is not part of the majority in order to gain his power. It's absolutely disgusting. And he got elected. And this is happening all over the world right now. And the way this man talks about women, and he's the president of the United States, is embarrassing. Something's got to change here. It's bad. And what we have now going on in the world, almost everywhere, is political tyranny, just like in the times of Guru Nanak. And we're in the middle of this. And all over the world, in all the countries, you can see now that the leaders are basically asking that they are the government. We've fought very hard for centuries to prevent this. And especially in the legal position, especially in law. Again, in my country and in other countries, the leaders are suggesting that those in the judiciary should basically be working for them. Look out. And, you know, I can't help myself. I'm a son of Guru Nanak, and I'm a son of Guru Gobind Singh. And I don't know about you, but I'm going not to let that happen. All these things are going to happen over my dead body. It's not going to happen over my dead body. And especially, you know, we're old fogies. All the people sitting in the front, we're ready to go. Okay. But the people in the back, you're ready to join the game. Please, I know you're young. I know that it may not be clear why you joined this profession. And I know that there are influences, as I said, such as, it's unfortunate that often your priority is money, comfort, status, and family pressure. Those things are fine. But the basic thing you do as a lawyer is you fight for justice. That's what a lawyer does. And by fighting for justice, you fight for the Guru. You can't separate these two things. A lot of you in your pride, and this is the last thing I share, and don't be an idiot like me, because it took me 40 years to understand this. I thought, first of all, that I was a lawyer because my parents and my spiritual teacher pressured me to do that. That's actually not true. Then I thought that the reason I was a lawyer was that that was a personal choice. That's not true. I understand now in my life, and I really hope you understand this, there's only one reason you're a lawyer. One reason. And that is that God brought you to this planet to be a lawyer. That's why you're here. You didn't give birth to yourself. Let's make that clear. You did not give birth to yourself. You were sent here. Sometimes you forget that in your pride. You were sent here, and you were sent here to do something, and there are no mistakes. God gave you what you needed to be a lawyer. Every person in this room is a very intelligent, strong person. The whole morning I was watching every single one of you individually. Every person in this room is intelligent, impactful, influential, persuasive, and the whole thing. And you were given these talents by the creator of the universe to fight for God's cause. Don't make it about you. You know, there's a lot of ways of saying this. My way of saying this is, please don't make this about you. You were brought here to do something. Do your job. Your job is to represent the Guru's teachings, represent the message, fight for justice. My teacher told me one thing, and it's the last thing I'll share with you. And it's what I live by, and it's what the Guru has taught me. Never let yourself down. Never let anybody else down. And don't let the mission down. Okay? Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Khalsa Ji. I am now honored to introduce our next speaker, Honorable Mrs. Justice Chima Grubb, Judge, Royal Court of Justice, England and Wales, followed by the address of Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant due to his tight flight schedule.
It's a real honour to be invited to take part in this conference, and I'm very grateful to the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana for their chairman's letter expressing their wish that I should come here. I have to say it was a lovely surprise to be whisked away from a cold, grey London winter into this beautiful, sunny, colourful place for a few days. My mother told me that she came to Chandigarh to buy the wedding lehenga that I had at my wedding. So this is my first visit to this city, and I hope it won't be my last. I bring warm greetings from London, from all the judges in the High Court and the Lord Chief Justice. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji undoubtedly lived a good life, and his philosophy encapsulated many radical ideas. We've already heard about some of them. And I remember my parents telling me the story of when he was a young boy and he refused to wear the sacred red thread that boys of his class or caste would wear to show their status. And the reason he didn't want to wear it was because he wanted to be judged on his character rather than on the way that he was brought up, the accident of his birth, or his gender. Now, those ideas were radical in India 550 years ago, but they're radical in England today, and I expect they're radical in India too. I learned at a young age that Guru Nanak was a disruptor, and I have to say I've tried to be a disruptor in my life. You might not believe that when I stand here as a High Court judge, but it's possible to be disruptive with respect and respectfully, and that's what I have tried to do. I'm delighted to be speaking in the afternoon, even though I don't have very much time to spend with you, and I'm particularly delighted to be speaking in the afternoon because the students have now got the good seats, and that's always positive. I want to start with our judge's oath. So in England, when a judge is sworn, and it's the same oath that every judge takes, whether they're a very junior judge or the Lord Chief Justice, the most senior judge in the country. And some of the words of that oath are as follows. I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will. And this oath encapsulates, I think you'll agree with me, principles that echo Guru Nanak's teachings. Oh, thank you very much. Equality between human beings and respect for each other, regardless of gender, caste, race, religion and financial status. Selfless service through eliminating the inner evils of ego, greed, attachment and lust. Questioning the underlying assumptions in society and challenging them where necessary, particularly if they're based on division rather than simply following them. Courageously fighting oppression, living under the rule of law rather than the rule of force. Well, what can I say about those principles from my experience? I only have time to touch on one topic really. One of my passions is judicial training. Like in India, in England, we train our very junior judges, our magistrates, our district judges, very rigorously. They have long programs of training. But as you become more senior, if you are appointed from the profession to the High Court like me, or you go on to the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court, then there used to be very little training, indeed none at all, until 15 years ago. But over the years, we are increasing the training that we give to judges. Some of us as professionals have been at the top of our game for years, QCs, senior counsel here, and so for us, as well as a financial drop, it's a different type of work entirely to become a judge. And I find it remarkable that people used to think that we didn't need training. I want to touch on some of the training that we have, but before I do, let me tell you a story. When I first began to be involved in judicial training as a trainer, when I was a Queen's Counsel serving as Treasury Counsel at the Old Bailey, I thought, how can I disrupt this training? So if you imagine, I was in a room with about 50 judges. They were Crown Court judges trying serious cases. And the topic I was teaching on was about social exclusion. And I thought, how can I make these 50 English men, as it was, understand what it's like to be in an alien environment and to be behaving in a way that's difficult and different. So I remembered how in India, if we're showing respect to somebody, real respect to an elder or someone that we're very, very conscious of wanting to show our high regard for, you know, we walk towards them and we bend down to touch their feet. And because they are so respectful of us, they try and stop us touching their feet. You know this. So I explained this to this group of 50 white men. And I said, you have to split into pairs and you have to do this. So everybody on the left, you try to touch the feet of every man that's on the right, and the man on the right tried to touch the feet of the... You can imagine it was chaos, absolute chaos. But it taught them that many people in court feel in an alien culture, just like for that moment they felt as if they were in an alien culture. That kind of respectful disruption of how we do things in court is sometimes very important to try and get a teaching message home. So, something to share with you. In England, we have something called the Equal Treatment Bench Book. I was involved in starting this off. It's an electronic resource. It's over 400 pages if you were to print it out. But what it is, it's used to train all of us to understand the capacity and ability and the adjustments that need to be made to make sure that people in our courts are heard fairly and get a just result. This is an important part of the legacy of Guru Nanak's teaching to us, that people are equal and everyone has or should have an equal access to justice. So what does it cover? This treatment book, Equal Treatment Book, well, it covers two kinds of things: information about various communities and disadvantaged groups in our community, and then practical advice on how people from those communities should be treated in court and enabled to give evidence to argue their case or understand what's going on when the hearing is happening. So let me set you some homework. Whatever search engine you use, say Google, type into it Equal Treatment Bench Book, Equal Treatment Bench Book, and you will see, because it's publicly available, we want our judges, and we want to be as judges accountable to the public that we serve. And so anyone who comes into my court, if I'm hearing a terrorism trial, say, or I'm sitting in the Court of Appeal, if they have a disability, or they come from a culture or a background that is not usual for English judges to understand, they know from looking at the Equal Treatment Bench Book what adjustments I as a judge can make. They and their lawyers can say, my client has ADHD, my client doesn't speak English, or my client has a learning disability. Judge, how are you going to make this hearing accessible for them? How are you going to make them realize that they are being listened to and their concerns are being understood? So the chapters that we have in this book are litigants in person, lay representatives, children, how to deal with the evidence of children. In England, the age of responsibility is 10 years. And so I tried a very serious conspiracy to murder by carrying out a shooting at a school a couple of years ago. The defendants were 14 years old, and we had to make adjustments for them in their trial. We have chapters on vulnerable adults, physical and mental disabilities, how to deal with racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, sexual orientation, and so on. There's a chapter on gender, a very important topic. It covers things like caring obligations, domestic violence, sexual harassment, social media offences against women. Do you know, judges need to learn about all of these things. No barrister or advocate who has been 25 years in practice and is a senior lawyer will necessarily understand the disabilities and disadvantages that people who come before us with their cases have. All right, I don't have very much time, so I can't tell you some more. In fact, I had designed a quiz. I was going to ask you some questions and then show you, if I could on the screen, how you might find the answers in the bench book. The last thing I want to talk about is this. It's about the appointment of judges. It's very important, if we apply Guru Nanak Ji's philosophy, it's very important for us to understand that judges must also be appointed on merit. When I became a barrister in England, the idea that what I was described as a little Indian girl from Yorkshire would become a High Court judge was impossible. Nobody could possibly have imagined that. In fact, I never wanted to be a judge. I wanted to be an astronaut. So I failed in that, obviously. But when I started as a barrister, judges were appointed from the same class of people. Many judges had fathers who were judges or uncles who were judges. Many of them had relations in the legal professions. And a lot of the reason for that was because judges were appointed by other judges. And we're human beings. We tend to like people who are like us. We tend to promote and encourage people who are like us. But you know, this time last year, for the first time in history, 50% of the judges who heard cases at the Old Bailey, the Central Criminal Court in London, were women. For the first time in history, 50% of the judges sitting at the Old Bailey were women. We now have, we don't have 50% of women in the High Court, it's like 20%. And we have about 15% in the Supreme Court now. But I'll tell you what has made that difference. What's made the difference is the establishment of an independent Judicial Appointments Commission. This required leadership from the profession, from the judges, from the government. An independent body has meant that we've disrupted what was centuries-old system. All right, my time has run out. I'm so delighted to be here. Somebody said I had to say something in Punjabi, so shall I tell you the one thing I want to say to you? Main ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਭੈਣ hai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Lordship. I am now privileged and honored to introduce our next speaker, Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant, Judge Supreme Court of India. Please let us welcome to the podium His Lordship to give the address.
Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, my dear students. Very learned professors and educationists from different parts of the world have spoken, giving minute social impacts of the teachings and philosophy of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. The most delightful and very encouraging it is to find out that those teachings and philosophy has its impact, not restricting the India only, but also vast and different jurisdictions throughout the world. As a student of law, it is very obvious for all of us to evaluate those teachings and philosophy and mirror them to see and find out that how several human rights, or in terms of codified law, we call them as fundamental rights within the framework of the Constitution, have also originated out of the teachings of our great Guru. A lot has been said about the concept of equality evolved and developed by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In the context of India, you find it formalized in Article 14 of the Constitution. It has also been pointed out, but I must lay emphasis, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave highest respect to women. He taught and made us to realize the dignity and respect a woman deserves. His sayings are remarkable on this subject, and therefore I also correlate Article 15 of the Constitution to those teachings. Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave us Gurumukhi as a language of the common man. Today, we are enforcing right to education through Article 21A of our Constitution, which in my considered view again find its roots in the very language which he conceived and developed for the common man. So much was the impact of those teachings on the formation of our Constitution that one of the members of the Constituent Assembly, Professor Dholekar, said something about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and I quote, he said, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a symbol of fire of freedom, blazing in the hearts of Indian people since long. The Constituent Assembly itself was under the command of those teachings, and therefore in the formation of the Constitution, the philosophy of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji has played a very vital role. There is hardly any subject on which he has not written. On the combination of equality and equity, those instances have been quoted that how Guru Nanak Dev Ji opted to have food with a poor person, a poor farmer, rejecting the one offered by a rich business person. These socialistic ideas, concern for the cause of the common man, are part of those great teachings. I wonder that in 2 days conference, will you be able to discuss each and everything what has been taught to us by Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji. But I am still very confident that the relevance in today's context, which in the morning session I very briefly said, that to bring peace, harmony, social justice, equity and equality in the society, Baba Guru Nanak Dev's philosophy needs to be re-emphasized, needs to be kept in view by each and every stakeholder of the society. I am quite sure that in some of the sessions we will be able to revisit those great ideas and evolve how to implement them in the today's context. I am thankful to the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be the participant in this conference. My best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our chair for this session is Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, Judge, Punjab and Haryana High Court. But before that, we'll present the mementos to the panelists of the plenary session. I further request Shri Rajat Gautam, Shri D. Selvam, Member Bar Council of India, Shri K.C. Mittal, Chairman of the Bar Council of Delhi, to present a memento to Honorable Mrs. Justice Tima Grubb, Judge Royal Court of Justice of England and Wales, on behalf of the Bar Council as a token of deep sense of gratitude. I now request Mr. Sunil Gaud from Telangana, Mr. Surinder Pundhir from Uttarakhand, Mr. Parvesh Yadav, Mr. Hargobindal Singh Bagga to present a memento to Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, Judge, Punjab and Haryana High Court. In furtherance, I request Mr. Rajkumar Chauhan, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, members of the Bar Council. I'll request Mr. Rakesh Gupta ji to also accompany. I request Mr. J.V. Yadav ji, Mr. Surinder Dutt Sharma ji to present a memento to our distinguished guest, Mr. Ujjwal Dosanjh, former Attorney General and the Federal Minister of Canada, as a token of deep sense of gratitude on behalf of the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana. I request Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, Madam Amarjeet Kaur Khurana to come on the stage and present a memento to our distinguished guest, Dr. Preetam Singh, Professor Emeritus from the University of Oxford, accompanied by Mr. D.K. Singh and Mr. Ram Shubeg Singh from Delhi Bar Council. Mr. D.K. Singh and Mr. Ram Shubeg Singh. I further request Shri Hari Shankar Singh, the Chairman of the Uttar Pradesh Bar Council, and Shri Rajkumar Rathore, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, to present a memento to our distinguished guest, Dr. Mark Jorgenmesser from the University of California. In their absence, I'll request Shri Karanjit Singh ji and Shri Ranveer Singh Dhaka ji, if they are available. I'll request the organizer, Mr. Dhruv Kakkad, to come on the stage and give the memento on behalf of the Bar Council to Dr. Mark as a token of respect and deep sense of gratitude. I further request Mr. Nirbhay Garg, Mr. Gurtapinder Singh Dhillon and Mr. Chanchal Singla to come on the stage and give the memento on behalf of the Bar Council to Shri Harinam Singh Khalsa, Attorney and Minister of Sikh Dharma. I request Shri Anil Kumar J.M., Member Bar Council of Karnataka, Shri Rama Jogeshwara Rao from Andhra Pradesh, Shri Rajesh Kumar Shukla, Chairman of the Jharkhand Bar Council, to present a memento to the distinguished guest, Professor Doris Jacobs from the University of Waterloo. To end the plenary session, I request Mr. Gurtej Singh Arewal, the Vice Chairman of the Bar Council, to give the vote of thanks of the plenary session, followed by the working session number 1.
Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Suresana ji, Judge, Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, Honorable Mrs. Justice Tima Grubb, Judge, Royal Court of Justice of England and Wales, Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma ji, Judge Punjab and Haryana High Court, Mr. Ujjwal Dosanjh ji, former Attorney General and Federal Minister of Canada, Honorable High Court Judges, retired High Court Judges, Dr. Preetam Singh ji, Professor Emeritus University of Oxford, Dr. Mark, University of California, Shri Harinam Singh Khalsa ji, preacher from New York, Professor Doris Jacobs, University of Waterloo, Worthy Chairman, Bar Council, Shri Harpreet Singh Brar Sahab, Honorary Secretary of the Bar, Mr. Subir Sidhu ji, respected Chairman and my esteemed colleagues from various state Bar Council, respected Presidents and other officers of Bar Associations of State of Punjab and Haryana, my respected advocates, respected professors from various universities and College of Law, and my dear students. It is my utmost privilege to present a vote of thanks to the great dignitaries who have enlightened us with their views and discussions on the philosophy of the great Guru, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Centuries ago, the great Guru have this divine message, Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Tat Mahat. No need to translate here, as many dignitaries, including the Honorable Chief Justice of India, have expanded upon. Such is the relevance of the teaching of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in all the time and sphere. We are deeply grateful to Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant Ji, Judge Supreme Court of India, for chairing the plenary session and for his enlightening address. His Lordship's address was unique as always because of the novelty of his Lordship's ideas and extent of his knowledge. I thank your Lordship for chairing this session and your Lordship's address. I take the opportunity to express our sincere thanks to Honorable Mr. Justice Chima Grub, Judge Royal Court of Justice, England and Wales, for presiding over this session. Her gracious words are a testimony to the great Guruji to have impacted humanity around the globe. We are extremely grateful, ma'am, Justice, for sparing her valuable time and travelling thousands of miles to preside over this session. तू काहे डोले प्राणिया तो राखेगा सृजनहार, which means why of creation of his are you unsettled, your creator shall protect you. And in this way, the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji have protected and provided invaluable guidance and advice to all who sought for the same. No matter what difficulty we face as children of the universe, Guru Nanak Dev Ji provided us with the way to solve them with perseverance and confidence. We at the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana face similar apprehension before organizing this international conference, but our great Guru's blessing enabled us to overcome them and ensure a successful conference. We express our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice Ranjan Panjor, Judge Supreme Court of Bhutan, your Lordship, for your valuable time and to be with us today. We are deeply grateful to His Excellency Michael Aron Nil Norte Okwe-esque High Commissioner of Ghana, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives to India, and Dr. Mark. Their address have been very knowledgeable and contributed immensely to our discussions. We thank you, Your Excellency and Dr. Mark, for your presence and address. Further, we are deeply grateful to Shri Harinam Singh Khalsa Ji, Sikh preacher, Master of Kundalini Yoga from New York, His bold address installed fresh confidence in us. Sir, we thank you for sharing with us your learned views. We express our extreme gratefulness to Professor Doris Jacobs, University of Waterloo. Her address in this plenary session with much enlightenment and encouraged a very informative discussion. Ma'am, we thank you for your address. We express our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Judges of Punjab and Haryana High Court, Delhi High Court, Honorable Retired Judges of Punjab and Haryana High Court, with Vice Chancellors, professors of various universities and law colleges and their students who have graced the occasion today. We are also immensely grateful to Mr. Horatio Fernandes Neto, President International Bar Association from Brazil. He is leading all our brother and sister advocates in the international front. Sir, we thank you for your kind presence. My heartfelt thanks are due to all my esteemed colleagues of the State Bar Council who have come from all parts of country and made this international conference a great success. We express our deepest gratitude to the members of the Bar Council of India, led by Shri Manan Kumar Mishra ji, Senior Advocate, Chairman of Bar Council of India, Shri Satish Deshmukh, Vice Chairman, and especially Shri Pratap Singh ji, Member Bar Council of India from our Bar Council. I am also thankful to my esteemed colleagues of Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, of superiors of all the Bar Association from the state of Punjab and Haryana, advocates from the state of Punjab and Haryana, professors, students of various law colleges, and staff of Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, without whose active and tireless efforts this function would not have been successful. I am also thankful to the administration and the media for their cooperation and helping hand. This is the great ever held international conference of honorable judges and intellectuals. For this, I congratulate our worthy chairman, Shri Harpreet Singh Brad, who has played a pivotal role, and all my esteemed colleagues of Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana. In the end, I am thankful to our honorary secretary of the Bar Council and the youngest member in India, Mr. Sweer Sidhu, the master of ceremony for today, for his best efforts in ensuring the success of the conference. Leaving the dais on a personal note with the teachings of Guru closest to my heart, Sarvatra Bhala, simply meaning may everyone prosper. I have always believed that helping your fellow human being benefits everyone and whole of humanity. It is a privilege to be in a position to help another, and the same we shall get when we need it, which we surely will at some time or the other. Nanak Naam Chaddi Kala Tere Pane Sarvatra Bhala. Thank you.
Once again, a very good afternoon to one and all present here. In this session, we are going to have an extensive and interactive discussion on cybercrime, prevention and control. The same shall take place amidst the revered presence of our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Ganbal Gonchik, Ambassador of Mongolia to India. This session is being presided by Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Surasena, Judge, Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. To chair this session, we have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, First Puisne Judge of the High Court for the states of Punjab and Haryana. We also have amongst us as our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjeev Sachdeva, Judge, Delhi High Court. We also have the august presence of Professor Rajkumar, Vice Chancellor, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Moving on with our panel, for the present session, we are honored to have amongst us Mr. Gurtej Singh Grewal, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Jaiveer Yadav, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Rakesh Gupta, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Raj Kumar Chauhan, Member for the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Surinder Dutt Sharma, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Professor O.P. Mitha, Director, UILS, Punjab University, and Mr. Dhruv Kakkad, Advocate and Partner at Supreme Court, Ladi & Co. In this session, followed by the opening addresses by various respected members of our learned panel, we shall have paper presentation by the authors of the papers. The paper presentation shall comprise of respective authors coming forward and elucidating upon their views. Following the paper presentations, we shall have a critical analysis and interactive session, which shall be moderated by the Honorable Chair. After which, the Honorable Chair and the panelists shall give to us their concluding remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please recognize the presence of our worthy chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Ganbal Gonchik, Ambassador for Mongolia to India, by presenting him a bouquet. I would like to request Mr. Gurtej Singh. Moving on, I would like to invite Mr. Jaiveer Yadav and Mr. Rakesh Gupta to present a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Surasena, Judge, Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. Now I request Mr. Vijender Ehlawat and Mr. Rakesh Gupta to kindly come forward and hand over a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, First Puisne Judge, High Court. I now request Mr. Surinder Dutt Sharma and Mr. Lokesh Sinhal to kindly come forward and hand over a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, First Puisne Judge, High Court of Punjab and Haryana. Moving on, I now request Mr. Jaiveer Yadav and Mr. Rakesh Gupta to present a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjeev Sachdeva, Judge, Delhi High Court. Now I request Mr. Rajkumar Chauhan and Mr. Surinder Dutt Sharma to present a bouquet to Professor Rajkumar, Vice Chancellor, Punjab University, Chandigarh. I now request Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Surasena, Judge, Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, to come forward and address the august gathering.
Honorable High Court Judge in Punjab and Haryana, and other dignitaries in the head table, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from His Lordship Chief Justice from Sri Lanka and from the Judiciary of Sri Lanka to India. Thank you very much for invitation. And I would little bit focus, since I'm told that this is a session on cybercrime, just introduce the importance of cybercrime legislation in a country. As we have come forward from several eras, from Stone Age, hunting era, nomadic era, and so on and so forth, we have now come to the electronic era. Unlike the other era, the electronic era has come to stay, and it will not go away. With the electronic era coming in, everything has been made simple, and you can virtually do anything from your home. All what you need is a laptop or an electronic gadget. You don't have to go to banks, you don't have to go to any other place, but you can operate anything from an electronic gadget on your lap. As much as it has brought in convenience, the enjoyment, it has also brought in the crimes. So much so, the time we played with bats and balls is gone, and is gone maybe forever. So now in present generations, people, our children are enjoying with electronic gadgets. That is their entertainment. And everybody is connected to the internet, and world has become a global village. As much as it has brought in convenience, I said, it has brought in crimes. There is all kinds of malware, spyware, ransomware, viruses, trojans, worms, crimeware, adware, and so on and so forth. The moment you download a thing unexpectedly, and you are most of the time tricked into downloading, you open up an email in good faith, but what you open up is really a virus. And you would not know that it would get planted in your laptop, which gives access of your computer to the person who sends the virus. And that person will get all the information from your computer, the passwords, bank balances, the personal information, etc., etc. It is as much as in traditional crime, somebody entering into your house and stealing things, and also doing all kinds of traditional crimes. So now the problem is the person does not have to physically go and threaten the people at home. He can do the same thing via the internet from a laptop. So how to deal with, now that is, those crimes are called cybercrime. And unlike the traditional crimes, where police go to the place of the scene of crime and collect some evidence and get some productions and prosecute you, the wrongdoers are not known in cybercrime, and maybe he may be operating the computer from a different country. So the question arises, once a crime happens, who is responsible for it? Even if you find the person who is responsible, where is evidence? Then the question of where to prosecute him, which country has jurisdiction. Computer is one place, the operator is in another place, the victim is another country. Who has jurisdiction? All kinds of complicated problems would arise. So it has, the understanding internationally is the problem of cybercrime cannot be curbed by one country alone, because it is always international. So for that, we need international cooperation, and there is you need to have much understanding amongst the countries, and there is a necessity of harmonizing laws, and so on and so forth. So it is, in that sense, I would say, it is a timely topic that this conference also has just allocated a little bit of time for discussing about cybercrime. And since the time is very limited, I just made the introduction, and I think the speakers to follow would further develop it. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much.
We thank you, Your Lordship. I now invite our next speaker for this session, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjeev Sachdev, Judge, Delhi High Court.
This is what happens when you do a cyber program. Always get into glitches on the technology. Last 10-15 minutes we are trying to sort out the cyber issue. But I think just a couple of minutes and we should be ready. I'm actually very happy to address a very young gathering, because when we talk of cyber, the younger people relate to it more than the not so younger ones, and especially the ones who've born and who've actually seen the laptops and computers being born. Now, are you aware when the computers were actually introduced in this country? 1983 was the first time that a computer was introduced in this country. We never had computers before that, and it came with a 8086 Wipro machine. And when we had a machine, you people talk of today GB. You know what GB is? How many of you know what a GB is? GB is a gigabyte. When the computers, and how many of you have a computer without a hard disk? Have you ever seen a computer without a hard disk? Or can you imagine a computer without a hard disk? When the computers were introduced, we never had hard disks in the computers. So there used to be a floppy drive, a long floppy drive which would be introduced in the computer, and you know what the capacity was? 1.2 kilobytes was the floppy disk. And you had two slots, one for a floppy drive with the operating system and one for a floppy drive with the program that you would run. So that's the kind of systems we had. And now we are talking of computers which have, well, cell phones which have capacity of 16 GB, 34 GB, 256 GB hard disk we are talking of. How many of you have heard the expression, eagle has landed? Nobody? Eagle has landed were the words spoken in 1969. I'm not talking of a Jack Higgins novel, Eagle has landed, which is a 19th, or a movie World War II. These were the words man first spoke on moon. Eagle has landed. Have you heard of Apollo 11? Neil Armstrong, first words that he spoke when he set foot on the moon was Eagle has landed. Apollo 11 computer. Do you know what was the capacity of Apollo 11's computer? How many of you use a smartphone? Sorry, I think I should rephrase that question, because earlier I used to ask the question, how many of you use a smartphone? Now I should ask a question, how many of you do not use a smartphone? I doubt if anybody will even say so. But let me tell you, the best experts in computers don't use a smartphone. They use a basic phone with which you can make a call. The President of the United States has a phone which does not have computer. It has a basic phone which just connects and you can make a call. Why? We were talking of kilobytes and megabytes. How many of you are aware what a kilobyte is? What is a byte? Well, computer does not understand characters. It understands electrical impulses. 0 means electricity off, 1 means electricity on. So a 0 or a on or 1 is a bit. 8 bits make a byte. So kilobyte is 1028 bytes. Megabyte is 1028 kilobytes. 1028 kilobytes, megabytes become a gigabyte. So today we talk of 4 GB phone, RAM of 4 GB. That means 1 kilobyte, 1028 kilobyte into 1028 kilobyte. That's the kind of phone that we use. You know, Apollo 11's computer had a memory, RAM of 4 kilobytes. So that was the capacity which Apollo 11's guidance computer had to guide Apollo to the moon and bring it back. And the processing speed was 1500 times slower than an iPhone 5S. Today we are in the zone of iPhone 12 coming. So sitting here in this room with your computer, with your phone, you can guide 1 million Apollo 11s to the moon and bring them back. Imagine the kind of capacity you have. When you do one Google search of anything on your computer, you use more computing power than that was required for 11 Apollo 11 programs. That's the kind of computing you do. Now when you do that kind of computing on the phone, or for that matter on anything, you are making yourself vulnerable to cybercrime. How many of you have never been a victim of a cybercrime? Everybody's been a victim. Let me tell you, if someone says I've not been a victim of cybercrime, I don't believe you. Everybody has been a victim of a cybercrime. Some attempts to cybercrime. How many of you received a message that your account is blocked? Do this, otherwise it will be deactivated. That's a cyber crime. People, I know you can't see me now, but too bad. Either you see the presentation or you see me. How many of you have seen cell phones like this? Well, how many of you have used them? We've used cell phones like this. There used to be a brick. Now, do you know what was the call cost? 36 rupees incoming and 36 rupees outgoing used to be the call cost for making a call. These were how we started. Look at the first computer on the left, 1984 Macintosh. It didn't have a hard drive, it just had a floppy drive which you would insert into it. Now I'll have to, since the time is short, probably skip a little bit. Today we are living in a digital world. So in this digital world, there are no laws, no legal orders, no countries, no territories. Who created this digital world? Governments didn't create it. It was created by corporate houses. Now you are free to visit this parallel planet. This is the virtual world. You don't have identity, you create your identity. How many of you use a Facebook? How many of you have a Facebook account, multiple Facebook accounts? How many accounts does Shah Rukh Khan have? Salman Khan have? Several. So they're all, most of them are fake accounts. People create these fake accounts because you can use anybody's name, anybody's picture, and you have a account. Now over here there are no properties. All your names, etc., your accounts are your properties. Space is in abundance. Have you ever realized, how many of you use a Gmail? All of us use Gmail. Have you ever scrolled to the very last page of Gmail? There is a counter running at the very last, which is the oldest email you have. Gmail gives you space. When we started, it gave us about 5 megabytes of space. This was, I think, about 20 years ago. And every second, that space keeps increasing. Now you get probably about 1000 GB of space of emails. We've never deleted Gmails because there's enough space. So that space keeps increasing, that counter keeps ticking. No, so space is in abundance. You acquire as you desire. There are no governments. If there was a hacking by some computer across the world, nobody will be able to help you. Government won't be able to help you. There are no rules of the game. No referee. Government never reached there first. It was created by corporate houses. They control it. They run it. Now India's entry into the virtual world. 31st July 1995, West Bengal Chief Minister made the first cellular phone call. 14th August 1995, we had VSNL. You know, to connect to VSNL, you had to dial up through a telephone line, and there was a magazine called PC Quest. It still comes. They had created a website and a depository of certain games and photographs you could download, and it used to take hours to download a photograph. Unlike now, videos you see on your phone at the drop of the hat. Social media, Facebook was created as a face mash. It was created for college students to connect to each other. Then it actually started as the Facebook. Now this is the graph of popularity of Facebook over the years. How many of us have started using all these accounts? Now, skipping these because thousands of sites, we all are aware how many pieces of content is uploaded every day, what all happens. Legal issues that arise, identity theft. Knowingly, unknowingly, we post huge amount of personal data on the social networking site. This vast information represents a risk to our safety and property. Data can be used by unauthorized third parties to misappropriate our identity. Imagine a situation that you try to log onto your Facebook account and it's hacked and you can't log on to it. Somebody's hacked it. Or somebody's created a Facebook account with your name, your photograph, and sent some scandalous, obscene messages to everybody, all of your friends. What would your image be? That's identity theft. You know, about 5 to 6% of Facebook accounts are fake. I'm skipping a couple of videos. Then there are issues of copyright. Have you ever read what is written on when you open a site or download an application, there is a prompt which comes, I agree. Have you read the terms and conditions? You know, Facebook and WhatsApp, one of the terms and conditions they say is that whatever you post on the website, on their site, is their property. And you give them a license to use that photograph or video commercially. So if you click the picture which they like, they can actually commercially exploit it and even use it as for advertisements. That you are promoting a particular product. That's the kind of license you give. We don't look at what we agree to when we say I agree, but it's either use it or not use it. Now, passing on private information can also lead to invasion of the property of an individual. Look at the data breaches which happen. See, this is a website of a very important Indian agency. This was hacked. If they can be hacked, who can't be? Government websites which were hacked over the years, thousands of them, spy files. You see, there are these mails which we receive from a bank which are, now this is a PayPal account, your account has been limited until we hear from you. Nowadays I'm getting a message from Paytm. How many of you use Paytm? That your KYC is blocked, immediately contact, call up so-and-so cell phone number. You call up that number, then within minutes, they'll clone your phone. So don't call up an unidentified number, don't connect to an unidentified website, don't answer to a mail you don't know which source of. Now these are like Apple, your Apple ID has been disabled for security reasons. Similarly, see what they do is they add instead of a L, it will be an I. To an unsuspecting eye, you will not even realize what it was. And it's a spam mail which will take you to probably some fake site. Like Amazon over here is with a double N. So these kind of mails will come which will hack into your system. Phishing links will be there. Now this was about ransomware. Then criminal activities. Now Facebook also becomes a source of evidence. Now in this case in Bangladesh, they arrested, somebody was murdered. Then they went into his Facebook account and found out who was he in touch with. And thereafter they could trace out the murderer with whom the victim had been in touch. So there's one, I'm going to skip quite a bit, but show you a particular video, which is something which we all do.
आज घर में अकेली हो क्या? सदा नहीं हो, आज घर में अकेली हो ना?
दीदी आज अकेले हैं क्या?
अरे मैडम आज
हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी नहीं होता है। सावधानी से अपनी जानकारी सोशल मीडिया पर अपलोड कीजिए, साइबर क्राइम को रोकिए।
Folks traveling home alone tonight party. So all her Facebook friends got to know she is home alone. And look at the kind of people she'd accepted as friends. So when you go back, please do a review of who all are there on your friends list. Sometimes it's happened that a family goes on a holiday, going to London for 20 days. All of us traveling together, and first picture at Heathrow Airport, the entire family is there. They come back after 20 days, their entire house is clean. Because somebody on their Facebook knew they were all traveling there and there'll be nobody at home. So you youngsters, please open up your accounts. You know who's watching you. So please do an audit of what you do. And Google always watches you. There is this website, Radar 24. It tracks every aircraft in the sky real time. How many of you have used maps, Google Maps? It takes me so much time to reach so-and-so place. Like I was looking at the Google map, I have to catch a train. So how much time it will take me? It told me about half an hour. So I still have about 5 minutes to wrap up and run. Now how does Google do it? It tracks your cell phone. Every phone today virtually every phone today is connected to Google. Now Google tracks the phone movements. How many phones are traveling from point A to point B at a point of time? How much is the time they've taken at a red light? How much is the time they've taken at a particular juncture? That's how they track it. Google knows that each one of you is here in this room at this moment. If Google knows somebody who can hack into Google or who has access to Google will also know where you are. So be very careful in what you connect to, what you deal with. So that's why the safest phones are the ones which don't have internet. Anyways, I think this is, you see, this was a magazine which, Bloomberg, a magazine which covered this article. This is a microchip. This is a motherboard which is put in every computer. They found that in this computer, they had this kind of a dot. A microchip was inserted in this motherboard. Impossible to find it. Size of this is tip of a pencil. And this microchip permitted the circumventing of the antivirus systems that were installed in a computer. So if this microchip was installed in your computer, they could hack into any computer. And this was found in several computers, both of Apple and non-Apple in US. And this was done by a company in China. So imagine what kind of safety network we are dealing with. Anyways, I think I'll skip it at that since I'm running short of time. Thank you very much. Maybe some other time we'll have more time.
We thank you, Your Lordship, for your very informative address. I now request the Honourable Chair, Honourable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, to come and address the august gathering. Please, sir.
As far as the audience is concerned, is the difference between the 20-20, 50-50 and the test match. The crowd, spectators are very excited. When it's 20, they're more excited. It's 50, and though the test match takes about 5 days to conclude, but it's very gripping. My brother Sanjeev has told you the technical aspects of the computers and the instruments you use, its advantages, its disadvantages. My brother told you how when the mobile phone started, we used to pay about 25 or 30 rupees for ongoing call, and we also used to pay for incoming call. But things have changed and changed dramatically. The first computer weighed few tons. It was used by US Navy. Now things have changed and changed for better. It takes about 20 years to build a reputation and one cyber crime or incident to ruin it. Be careful. As the young people who are the most affected by the cyber world, as they are the most proficient users of this technology. Cybercrime is any criminal activity that involves a computer, network device, or a network. Some cybercrimes are carried out against computers or devices directly to damage or disable them, while others use computers or networks to spread malware, illegal information, images, or other materials. The primary effect of cybercrime is financial. Cybercrime can include many different types of profit-driven criminal activity, including ransomware attack, email and internet fraud, and identity fraud, as well as attempts to steal financial account, credit card, or other payment card information. Cyber criminals may also target an individual's private information as well as corporate data or theft and resale. Cybercrime includes a wide range of malicious activities. For example, the illegal interception of data, system interferences that compromise network integrity and availability, and copyright infringements. The ubiquity of internet connectivity has enabled an increase in volume and pace of cybercrime activity because the criminal no longer needs to be physically present when committing a crime. The internet speed, convenience, anonymity, and lack of borders make computer-based variations of financial crime such as ransomware, fraud and money laundering, as well as crime such as stalking and bullying easier to carry out. The cybercrimes can be cyber extortion, a crime involving an attack or threat of an attack coupled with demand for money to stop the attack. One form of cyber extortion is the ransomware attack, in which the attacker gains access to an organizational system and encrypts its documents or files, anything of potential value, identity theft. An attack that occurs when an individual accesses a computer to glean user personal information, which then they use to steal that person's identity or access their valuable accounts such as banking and credit cards. Credit card fraud you're familiar with. An attack that occurs when hackers infiltrate retailer systems to get the credit card and or banking information of their customers. Stolen payment cards can be bought and sold in bulk on dark net markets, where hacking groups that have stolen mass quantities of credit cards profit by selling to low-level cyber criminals who profit through credit card fraud against individual accounts. There is a cyber espionage, a crime involving a cyber criminal who hacks into systems or networks to gain access to confidential information held by a government or other organization. Software piracy, an attack that involves the unlawful copying, distribution, and use of software programs with the intention of commercial or personal use. While it may not be possible to completely eradicate cybercrime and ensure complete internet security, business can reduce their exposure to it by maintaining an effective cybersecurity strategy using a defense in-depth approach to secure systems, networks, and data. It can be done by outlining the security measures that are in place about how to protect systems and corporate data, use two-factor authentication, 2FA, apps or physical security keys, activate 2FA on every online account when possible, verbally verify the authenticity of requests to send money by taking to a financial manager, carefully scrutinize all email requests for transfer of funds to determine if the requests are out of ordinary, continually train employees on cybersecurity policies and procedures and what to do in the event of security breaches, keep websites, endpoint, devices, and system current with all software release updates or patches. It's not unusual for teenagers and young people to get involved in cyber criminal activities at an early age. Some do it for fun without realizing the pitfalls, but the penalties can be severe. The minors who become involved in cybercrime often have a skill that could put to a positive and maximum use. Skills in coding, gaming, computer programming, cybersecurity, or anything IT related are in high demand, and there are many professional careers and opportunities available with IT talent. There is a word of caution for the parents also and for the elders. I think the most important thing that we can do to prevent this crime is to talk to our children and make them aware of its pitfalls. We should talk to them about acceptable online behavior and help them understand the difference between right and wrong in the cyber world. Let's take an interest in what they do and understand what they need and be vigilant in our effort to protect and reduce cybercrime. Let's build a world free from cybercrime. That's in our hand. Let's play safe. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
We thank you, Your Lordship, for your address. We shall now commence with the presentation of papers by their respective authors. First of all, I invite on the dais Arushi Setia and Dr. Manjot Kaur for presenting their paper.
A very good evening, one and all. I am Arushi Setia of BA LLB 8th semester. I'm the author of this paper, and my co-author is Dr. Manjot Kaur, who is Assistant Professor in History in GHG Institute of Law for Women, Sidwakul. For every lock, there is someone out there trying to prick it or break it. These days, life is all about click, scroll, and tap. Everyone wants everything to be done very quickly, without realizing the damage its excessive use plays. The mushrooming of cheap, user-friendly, and powerful computers has enabled the people to use them and absolutely rely upon them, but it also comes with a lot of obstacles under the eclipse of threat from the fatal type of criminality called as cybercrimes. From downloading illegal music files to stealing millions of dollars from a bank account, all are counted as cybercrime. Not just monetary crimes, but also the non-monetary offenses such as identity theft is also a part of cybercrime. These cybercriminals conceal or fake their real identities behind the curtain of the internet. For instance, adding a stranger and chatting with them for long hours and sharing with them your personal information and pictures is like digging a hole for oneself. In the present scenario, according to NCRB report of 2017, cybercrime is on the peak with the maximum cases in Uttar Pradesh, followed by Maharashtra and Karnataka. Cybercrime are punishable under Information Technology Act 2000 and Indian Penal Code Act 1860 and also under some special laws. Now I'll be talking about certain strategies that can be adopted to prevent and control cybercrimes in India. Cybercriminals are like regular criminals who wants to benefit as quickly as possible. Cybercrime can be counteracted in a brisk way and a very cost-effective way. All it requires is common sense and some technical advice. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, while addressing the Digital India project has said, I'll quote them, "Can we secure the world from a bloodless war? I am talking about cyber security. India must take the lead in cyber security through innovation. In my opinion, following measures can be followed to prevent and control cyber crimes, such as choosing a secure and strong password and keeping them private. A password must be a blend of letters and numbers and it should be kept a secret. The systems must be kept up to date. The antivirus software must be updated and installed regularly so as to prevent any foreign disease or viruses from entering into your computer system. In regard to securing identity, one must be cautious about sharing their personal information and pictures such as name, phone number, residential address, bank account details, and any other money-related data on the internet. One must be a social savvy. Social media profiles such as Facebook, Instagram must be kept private. Reviewing bank and credit card statements is a must regularly so as to keep a check on the transactions. One must abstain themselves from sending pictures to a stranger by online as the misuse of such photographs are on high rise. As cybercrime is a major threat to every individual of the nation of the world, certain measures ought to be taken at the universal level as well as at the international level for preventing cybercrimes. Prevention is better than any cure. In a nutshell, I would conclude it by saying that cybercrime has become an issue for every individual. It has high potential and in this manner, it makes high sway when it is finished. It has threatened the entire society and different nations. Cyber awareness and information is the best source of security. Each individual must be made to realize the awareness about the cyber crimes with the goal that one can make a defensive move by teaching themselves the do's and don'ts over the web. Decrease in cybercrime is possible only when the users become more aware about the cybercrime. In addition, new standards and guidelines must be made to address such crimes. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility and it boils down in this. In cybersecurity, the more system we secure, the more secure we all are. Thank you.
Thank you, Arushi, For all the upcoming speakers, we request you to efficiently wrap up your paper presentations under 2 minutes due to the constraint of time. Up next, we have Gurpriya Kaur Maan with her paper.
Good evening, everyone, honorable judges and delegatories and all the guests that are invited here. I'm going to speak on the topic about cybercrime, but I'm going to cut it short and make it quick. As we all know that this is the era where most of the things are done usually over the internet. We all have cell phones and mobile phones, laptops and computers, starting from online dealing to online transaction. Since the web is considered as a worldwide stage, anyone can access the resources of the internet from anywhere. The internet technology has been used by few people for criminal activities like unauthorized access to others' networks, scams, etc. The rise and proliferation of newly developed technologies start to operate many cybercrimes in recent years. Cybercrime has become great threats to mankind. Protection against cybercrime is a vital part for social, culture, and security aspect of the country. The government of India has enacted IT Act 2000 to deal with cybercrimes. The Act further revised the IPC under 1860, the IAA, the Indian Evidence Act 1872, the Bankers Books Evidence Act 1891, and Reserve Bank of India's Act 1934. Any part of the world, cybercrime could be originated passing national boundaries over the internet, creating both technical and legal complexities of investigating and prosecuting these crimes. The international harmonizing efforts, coordination, and cooperation among various nations are required to take action towards the cybercrimes. If anyone falls in prey of cyber attack, please come forward and register a case in your nearest police station. If the criminals won't get punishment for the deed, they will never stop. Thank you.
Good evening to everyone present here, dignified luminaries on the dais, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I don't consider myself an ocean in the drop or a particle in the galaxies of intellectuals, but I'm humbled that I've been given a chance to present my ideas regarding cybercrime. The sir who is here has very specifically talked about the history and how everything developed, and he said a statement that everyone has been a victim of cybercrime, and that is absolutely true. I would really narrow down my research. I've worked on a very specific aspect of cybercrime. I'll be talking about cyber security. And under cyber security, I'll be explaining that how the blockchain technology can be a solution. The IT Act 2000, which has been amended in 2008, has got certain loopholes. And regarding the blockchain technology, if the blockchain technology gets a chance to be introduced in the Indian legislation, which is just my idea of the idea that is lacking in the space of cyberspace, is one of the things we can help to cut short the cybercrimes that are going on. The 21st century has seen, with the increase in the cyberspace and the digitalization of everything going around, we have seen a lot of hacks that have been there. So narrowing down my research, the thing I found out was that data breach or data theft is the very first step towards any kind of crime, whether it is in the cyberspace or not. So I'll be talking about how blockchain technology works. I'll break this word into block and chain. Block specifically means the digital information, and chain means the database. Database means the specific structure in which the data is stored. So it is not a very new concept, but in the modern times it has been connected with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but I would make it very clear that all cryptocurrencies are blockchains, but all blockchains are not cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies seem to be an antithesis of the Indian government right now. We don't have Bitcoins legal or the cryptocurrencies legal, but blockchains, a lot of Indian states have been working on the blockchain thing, the technology, they've been adapting it. We have got startups with blockchain, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, and even the Niti Aayog is working with adopting of the blockchain technology. So it basically talks about how the block works. It has got a unique cryptographic hash, which talks about the complex mathematical algorithms and the way the data is stored. And every time you create a new block, it is attached to the previous block. That block will have the unique hash of your present block and will also contain the hash of the previous block. So the data is connected in a sequence. It's like a decentralized ledger. So you want to amend or you want to change something in the data that is already stored, you'll have to go down every block that is already stored in the blockchain. right? So it is a decentralized ledger. So my point of explaining is that data breach and data hacks because of this blockchain technology become really difficult. Although we have seen the MTGOX hack in Japan that happened regarding the blockchain in 2014, but that was not during the transaction. So I don't say blockchain technology is absolutely tamper-proof, but definitely that hack was done from the wallet of the person who was transacting the bitcoins. So that is all I have to say, that if the blockchain technology can be adopted to some extent, the level of cybercrimes may come down. Thank you.
Moving on, we have the final speaker, final paper presentation by Beneet Singh and Diksha.
A very good evening to everyone. Myself Diksha, and I am going to present my paper on the topic Cyber Ethics to Curb Crime Against Women with reference to the teachings and philosophies of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji writes, "From the woman is our birth, the woman womb are we shaped. To the woman we are engaged, to the woman we are wedded. The woman is our friend, and from woman is the family. Through woman are the bonds of the world. Why call woman evil, who gives birth to kings and all? From the woman is the woman, without woman there is none." The concept of women rights is not the benevolence of the current legal scenario. The rights of women finds its presence in the heart and soul of Sikhism. The most probable example of this can be seen in the sixth practice of Sangat and Langar in our present time. The Sangat, which means the holy, and Langar, which means the common kitchen, portrays the equality of both men and women from all walks of life to pray and eat together without any discrimination. Sikhism also promotes the faithfulness and chastity to one's own family values and condemns practice of satis, female infanticide and dowry. The holy Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji advocates women right from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who have beautifully defined the equal status of women, to Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who gave feminine name to God, that is our mother and father. Guru Nanak Dev Ji came in this world in 1469, the time when the lower caste women were openly sold in bazaar, had to wear veils, were not allowed to practice in worldly affairs, and were never even allowed to leave their houses and conduct their communications from balcony of their houses. That was where Guru Nanak Dev Ji stepped into and taught the much needed lessons to the society by empowering women. It is by virtue of his teachings that women were empowered around 550 years back, but now for the protection of women and get them empowered we need laws. The tackling mechanism in India for cyber crimes, known as the Information Technology Act, is more or less considered as a half-baked law, since the priority was given to protection of electronic commerce, popularly called the e-commerce, and the communication. Cyber socialization communications has remained untouched. No specific regard to cyber victimization of women in India. The Information Technology Act is based on the 1997 United Nations Model Law on electronic commerce and focused on communication infrastructure and e-commerce initiatives. The Indian Evidence Act is very vital in dealing with electronic evidences. Guidelines of evidences are provided by the Indian Evidence Act 1872. Indian Evidence Act was amended to include evidence relating to electronic record. All these laws, along with the constitutional safeguards, have provided for the protection of women and penalized those who will commit any crime against women in the real world, and it's very crucial element in the cyber world. The laws are gender specific, and aforementioned statistics significantly shows that these crimes have been committed by men against women. So there is no hesitation to address that those men have committed these crimes, had no respect for the laws of the land which protect the woman. Also, there is no hesitation in stating that apart from a handful of fundamental duties, the law of the land does generally provide an ethical code of the conduct for the general public to follow from refraining from doing these cyber crimes. However, the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji specifically states gender equality as a way of life. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's teaching, such as one chako, that means selflessness, kirat karo, having a lively livelihood of truth and honesty that does not involve deception of fraud, and the practice of Naam Japna, medication of God names to control the weakness of human personality. These teachings indicate that even with the existence of present world technology development, we can protect the safety of our mothers, sisters, daughters and spouses and other female family members at home by using the internet for the good of mankind and not from the destruction of the sacred womanhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Diksha. Now we invite upon any volunteer speakers who would like to present their papers from the audience. Please, most welcome. Any other volunteer speakers who would like to present their papers are also most welcome.
Good evening everyone and honorable judges. Today I am here to present the paper on the topic Philosophy of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji and their relevance today in equity and social justice. I am the student of LPU LLM. My name is Mansi. Starting from the introduction, that Sikhism is the youngest and the most scientific religion of the world. The history of Sikhism isn't the fact story of struggle for human rights. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, first Sikh Guru, fought for the preservation of human rights and raised his voice against social injustice, inequality, religious reception, exploitation of the woman and degradation of the human values. According to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, if the ruler's orders were against the justice and equity, it was not obligatory on the people to honor them. Guru Nanak Dev Ji came into contact and conflict with the political order of his times. He suffered at the hands of unjust and cruel kings. They followed the three golden principles, Kirat Karna, Naam Japna and Vand Chakna, which means that man should earn his livelihood by honest creative labor. He should keep in mind the name of the God and he shared the fruits of his labor with his fellow beings. He instructed his followers to work, earn, spend and give out their earnings to the needy. This leads a person to the ideal path of the life. Now, I would like to share some philosophy of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in context of the fundamental rights. Firstly, right to freedom of religion. In this, I would like to share that for the sake of the right of freedom of religion, 9th Guru Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji laid down his life in 1675 in Delhi. And also the choice should be of the man himself, said by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It means that the right of human beings is quite evident from his condemnation of the rulers of his times who deprived the people, especially the Hindus, of this right to practice their religion according to their own choice. Freedom of culture. Guru Nanak Dev Ji also addressed the freedom of culture, which implies that any section of the people have distinct language, script, culture of its own, etc. The right of freedom of religion advocated by Guru Nanak Dev Ji much earlier was included by the United Nations in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948. Due to the shortage of time, I would just want to sum up come to the conclusion that the Guru Nanak Dev Ji expected from his followers such a social life wherein they must be aware of their rights and duties. He has visualized such a casteless society in which they should lead life of self-discipline, simplicity and good conduct. Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw corruption in his contemporary social, political and religious life. He got very much disappointed and wanted to re-establish the society, political and religious lives of others. He got very much disappointed with the issues that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave a social message based on the spirituality proved to be very helpful in social evils and established the new values. Guru Nanak Dev Ji believes that in the equality of whole humanity and discards any sort of division, discrimination created by Varna Dharam and caste system. Guru Nanak Dev Ji teaches brotherhood, harmony, love, selfless service to the humankind. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our final volunteer speaker for the evening is Mr. Navdeep Singh Virk, advocate and research scholar. Please, sir.
Good evening. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to speak on cybercrime on international conference. It is a saying, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Presently in our society, people use various devices to make life simple. Globalization results in connecting people all around the world. The increasing access to and continuous use of technology has radically impacted the way in which people communicate and conduct their daily lives. The internet connects people and companies from opposite sides of the world fast, easily, and relatively economically. Nevertheless, the internet and computer can pose some threats which can have disparaging impact on civilizations. Cybercrime is a hazard against different organizations and people whose computers are connected to the internet and particularly mobile technology. Cybercrime is a crime that is committed using a network connected device such as a computer or a mobile phone. Those who commit cybercrime are known as cyber criminals and cyber crooks. With a growing digitization, internet crimes are also increasing in a fast pace, as this type of crime can be committed from a distant location. For example, a foreign country. Most criminals prefer this mode as the risk of getting traced and punished is limited. Cybercrime are broadly categorized into three groups, such as a crime against individual, property, and government. If I talk about the types of cybercrime, they are mainly hacking, theft, cyber stalking, identity theft, malicious software, child soliciting and abuse, phishing. Phishing, I would like to explain. Phishing is a technique used to gain personal and sensitive information of a PC user, which can be his bank details or credit card information. Then cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is insulting, harassing, or threatening someone using the internet via email or messenger, etc. Software piracy, cyber terrorism, computer vandalism, denial of service attacks. From the above discussion, it can be concluded that cybercrime is involving as a serious threat. A cyber attack is an attack originated from a computer against a website, computer system, or individual computer that comprises the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the computer or information stored on it. It is a major and perhaps the most complicated problem in the cyber domain. Worldwide, government, police departments, and intelligence units have begun to react against cybercrime. Many efforts are being taken at international level to curb across border cyber threats. Stopping cybercrime is the responsibility of the government or the bodies dedicated to the same, but you can take some steps to stop cybercrime affecting you. Reporting an internet crime to the dedicated authorities of the country is also important to put a check on these types of crime. Indian police has started special cyber cells across the country and have started educating the people so that they gain knowledge and protect themselves from such crime. However, there is still need for people to remain more active or wide awake. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I now request the Honourable Chair, Honourable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma, to present his concluding remarks on this entire discussion. Your Lordship, please.
My special thanks to my brother Justice Surya Sena. My special thanks to worthy Vice Chancellor Rajkumar. My special thanks to Gurtej Singh. My special thanks to the dignitaries on the dais, and my very, very special thanks and my gratitude to all of you who listen to this topic. I hope and trust that you must have been benefited by it. One thing I would like to share with you, India's GDP in 15th and 16th century was 40 to 45% globally. Now it has come down to 2%. And whatever laurels have been brought to us economically, the credit goes to youngest and very young generation. They have brought laurels not to their families but to nation as a whole. It's a great nation with a lot of potential, and we hope and trust that you would come up to our expectations to make this society and this world a better place. We always presume and assume that we live on the earth, but though we live on the earth, what we are integral part of space. We revolve and spin without realizing that we're also revolving and spinning around other planets and stars. This is the majesty of the environment. To me, the environment and ecology is very dear, though the topic is cybercrime, prevention and control. But my request to all of you is to make this place a better place. There is a chasm between the haves and have-nots. Make an endeavor to reduce the. Make your life meaningful and full of compassion. This is what we have been taught by our gurus. We must follow the tenets of our great gurus. Justice Surya Nanak has given us the bird's eye view of how he looked at prevention and control of cybercrime by emphasizing that the person need not be on the scene of crime. He can do it from great distances. It can be trans-border. My brother Sanjeev, he has to catch a train, but he made the topic very interesting. As far as I am concerned, I confess, and I must confess, for all of you, I'm technically challenged. I'm not familiar with so many terminologies and the expressions used by all of you, more particularly by Miss Mansi and Arushi Setia. I'm thankful to and I appreciate the two special efforts made by Ms. Mansi and Mr. if I'm pronouncing correctly, Nandeep Singh Virk. I learned from Arushi Setia. She gave the figures, made the topic very interesting. Priya Kaur spoke very well on the topic. Then we had Vishakha and Samriddhi. My special thanks to their parents for the bringing up of children, giving the confidence to address the audience, on which one of the two persons on the stage are none other than Judge of the Sri Lanka Supreme Court and the worthy Vice Chancellor, Mr. Rajkumar. I'm thankful to all of you and pay my regards to your parents. We are proud of your parents. Thank you so much to be with us, to be with this institution called Bar Council of India, and my special thanks to the chairman of the Punjab and Haryana and Chandigarh, of course, Bar Council for organizing this program and making us integral part of it. Thank you so much and good night. Thank you. One thing more. Jai Hind.
We are much obliged, Your Lordship. Now I call upon the stage Professor Raj Kumar, Vice Chancellor of Punjab University, on whose premises this entire function has taken place. Please, sir.
Thank you. Very Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma ji, Very Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Suraj Sen Saab, Judge Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, other dignitaries on the dais. I can see the guests from the different places, Bar Council of India representative, as well as representative from the Bar Council of Haryana and Punjab, High Court, students and ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy such type of event has been organized on the campus of the Punjab University. I am sure out of that our student and the academician have got many things out of the discussion that honorable judges as well as the resource persons from the different councils expressed over here. Being the student of the management as an academic administrator, what I observed, the cybercrime is a very burning issue and very emerging issue. We cannot keep away from the use of the technology, but only things that I have just to suggest you people, especially the young student, that without technology we can't live now in this materialistic age. But we have to be very careful about the use of the technology. That is the way out. Yes, only last week I was with the scientists of the DRDO. In the coming days, the entire defense type of war will be on the basis of through the technology, through the internet and all those things. So we cannot prevent the use of these things. Yes, the prevention is better than the cure, is essential. And I very firmly believe that such type of events should very frequently organize at the different campuses, different departments, so that our students can get the hand-on practices, hand-on experience out of that. And if they get the opportunity to interact honorable judges, the members of the Bar Council, then immediately they have the many things in their mind, what is going on in the society. And really that is very useful for them also. And out of that, they can deliver best to the society. With this word, I just stop my word. And I am really once again very grateful to the entire guests, particularly the judges who visited our campus and have given the opportunity to interact, particularly our student and the faculty members. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I now take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice P.P. Surasena, Judge, Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, for presiding over this session. His wise words have enlightened us all, and we thank you, Your Lordship, for your valuable time and address. We sincerely thank Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Sharma for being here with us and chairing this session. Your Lordship's address has instilled in us all a fresh knowledge, and we thank you, Your Lordship, for your august presence and address. Further, we would also like to present a vote of thanks to our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjeev Sachdevaji. His address has been very knowledgeable and contributed immensely to our discussion, and we thank you, Your Lordship, for gracing this occasion. A heartfelt thanks to our worthy panelists for this session, Mr. Gurtej Singh Garewal, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Jaiveer Yadav, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Rakesh Gupta, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Karamjeet Singh, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Rajkumar Chauhan, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Rajay Chaudhary, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Mr. Surinder Dutt Sharma, Member, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, and Mr. Dhruv Kakkad, National Head Representative of the International Association of Young Lawyers. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to President for the District Bar Association of Sangrur, Mr. Gagandeep Sibia, Secretary, Mr. Baljit Karwal, President for the District Bar Association of Sanam, Mr. Gurpreet Singh, President for the Bar Association of Turi, President, Bar Association Munak, and President for the Bar Association of Sanam. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not the least, I sincerely thank the various authors who read out their respective works and for their lucid articulation on the topic, professors and students of law. Thank you.